pushing the record button. And I want my committee members to take the time to also introduce themselves. Please state your name.
Danielle Jetsu. Aye.
Yosef Kalinsky.
Jose Caminar.
Gabriel Estrella.
Graham Serralo.
Okay, thank you all. I think we have a quorum. Mary L. Ali emailed saying that she was not able to join this month, so it'll just be us. So we're going to dive right in our agenda. This is our last meeting for the year, which is exciting. We all need a break for the summer. And as you know, community boards don't meet over the summer. We did last year because there was so much going on, but this year I think we need to take our break as mandated in our city charter. So this is our last official meeting. For those who are watching, if you have concerns, you can still email the committee and the office over the summer, and we will be responding to your messages, but we will not be having an official meeting. I believe there are going to be other meetings that the community can join, such as the precinct council, neighborhood meetings, etc. So hopefully the precincts can provide more information about when those meetings are, so you know where to go for questions and comments about what's happening during the months of July and August. As you know, there are hot months in the city of town. So we're going to dive right in. I did receive a request from Superintendent Miller to go earlier because of his desire to want to be home earlier this evening. So I'll yield to you to go ahead and get and present your update.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Thanks, Curtis. Yeah, I'm actually, for the first time, I'm actually Zooming from the facility. I'm normally home, so I have some traveling left to do. But I think it's very important that we participate. Thank you for allowing me to be a panelist and just share with the community updates. From a New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision perspective, there's some possible closures that will be possibly announced at the end of this week. It's written into law that there should be some additional reduction based on the drop in the prison population. So we're waiting to see any announcements that are made. As far as our facilities running, we still remain a mix of work release women and men returning back to the community with 90 days or less. That's our current setup, as we still are being responsive to COVID. Fortunately, we have no positive inmates or staff as it relates to COVID. We are going to make the vaccine available to inmates and staff next week. We're going to do a vaccine clinic. The state continues to try to make it available. We are using the Johnson & Johnson because of the one and done aspect. It's the most productive for this kind of setting. So that's what we're going to continue to do. From a community perspective, as everyone knows, we're located at 611 Edgecombe. We're between 163rd and 164th. So we're embedded in the community. As such, sometimes we become part of things that happen in the community. I had mentioned I don't know if I mentioned, but in May, we had saw someone getting assaulted and was able to provide some assistance to the 33rd. This past Saturday, actually, a lost child was brought to the facility by two strangers that found the child on the street. And they brought the child to us, and we were able to contact the 33rd and successfully reunite the child with the parent. So it was a young child, autistic. It was raining. The child was in shorts and a t-shirt, so we're just glad that had a successful outcome, and we're just glad that the community realizes that they can come to us, for in those instances. We've had other instances where people have been victims of crime and they've run to the facility for aid, and we realize that that's an aspect that we should provide. So we're glad to do that. So that's the basic update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have one question from your report. And so the closures, do you expect, is your facility a possible closing site?
The short answer is all facilities are on the table until they make an announcement. With that being said, we're doing everything we can to be as productive. We recently had a reaccreditation, which happens every 3 years, and we were 100% in all levels. The facility is, running well, and everything is in order to maintain the standards that are required. We're doing everything for the population. We feel that we really do contribute to the department. So based on that and the fact that we provide the work release opportunities to women that I don't think any other facility really can provide, I would hope to think that those are reasons to allow us to continue to operate. So that's, I'm going to keep that kind of positive outlook.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any additional questions from our committee members? Community? All right. Well, thank you so much. Deborah, is your question about the DLC Edgecombe facility?
Yes, where is it located?
611 Edgecombe.
Between 163rd and 164th,
Thank you.
right across the street from Edgecombe Park.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
I
so
have
yeah.
one. I know last time I had asked you about voting, and I know that you said that you do give the paperwork or the registration forms to folks upon release. But now that there's been this new bill has passed that allows anybody who's on parole to vote, have you done any education around that? Just letting people know that that they're allowed to vote once they're released?
Yes. We let them know at orientation, the offender rehabilitation coordinators, let them know that also upon discharge. And when there's visits, we let their families know as well. So we encourage them to support them and encourage them to vote once they get out. Because I think that is a big thing, that they can vote as soon as they leave. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's news that we're glad to share.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I get short, quick and easy. You can get home now. So, well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you.
Right.
We will see you in September. If there are any things you want to report to us, you can always email the committee and also email the office. So don't feel like we're taking a huge absence. We can always be in contact if we need to be in contact.
Listen, definitely, and please keep me posted when things change, if we ever get back to a in-person environment. And when we get to the point that we can invite you in again, we'll do that.
Yes, I really enjoy going to the facility.
So thank you. Everybody be safe.
And meeting your staff. So yes, we'll be in touch, and hopefully September we'll be in person. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you, Brad. All right.
All right. We're gonna move forward in our agenda this evening with updates from Deputy Inspector Bello of the 33rd Precinct.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, so good evening, everyone. So another major topic, obviously, recently because of the warmer weather is fireworks. We've sort of identified several chronic locations, 171 in Broadway, 1003 St. Nick, 500 block of 171, Fort Washington area. I've sort of instructed my guys to take a different approach as opposed to last year. Obviously, if you guys look at our Twitter page, we have done some confiscation and some enforcement in regards to it. There was a vehicle that we towed in front of 1003 St. Nick that we were able to confiscate fireworks from the trunk of it. It had a temporary New Jersey tag that obviously didn't belong to the vehicle. So that was our legal way to be able to get to the fireworks by towing the car and inventory the property. We've been doing some observation, especially from rooftops. The way that we're coordinating it is we have our NCO's officer, possibly 2 on the rooftop, 2 down below. And whenever they do observe an individual setting off fireworks, the guys that are below, they get the description of the individual. They'll go, they issue the summons, being observed by the guys on top, and then they confiscate the fireworks. So that's kind of like what we're doing. Obviously, we're not going to be able to focus on every single location when we get fireworks. What I do is every Monday, I kind of like do an analysis, 911 analysis and 311 analysis, just to see what our top 3 or 5 locations fireworks related complaints are. And then I'll direct the NCOs and the steady sectors to conduct the joint up. On Saturday, I was actually on 171 in Broadway myself. I was able to get a video from one of our community residents. I stood there for about an hour. I didn't see anybody set off fireworks. I left for the day, but I instructed my 311 auto to kind of like circle the block a couple of times, and they were able to observe them in the act, and they confiscated the fireworks. So that's kind of like the approach that we have this year. We have our own plan for July 4th. We're still working on it because we're trying to see if we're going to get authorized the overtime modules that we've requested, the light towers that we requested, and possibly the footposts that we want to set up, especially on our problematic locations that most likely is going to be a rehash of last year's problematic locations. Dirt bikes obviously is the main issue. Last month, the chief of department held a press conference in the confines of the 3-3. Just to give you a little tally of how many dirt bikes we've confiscated from the street. The past, I want to say 30 or 35 days or so, we've taken about 31 dirt bikes. We have a joint operation with DOT or the Bureau of Transportation with an NYPD tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. We're going around just scouting and trying to ascertain exactly what locations there are mopeds that are parked with no registration and no insurance to see if we could tow it. That operation is going to take place in 3 consecutive days to see if we could take not only some of the dirt bikes and ATVs that we've seen, but primarily these mopeds that are parked illegally on the street with no registration. We've been doing operations the past 3 weeks with Parks Department. I know people have been complaining about mopeds and rebel bikes that have been frequenting the parks. We've been focusing primarily on Fort Washington Park on Riverside. We did an operation 2 weeks ago. Parks Department issued 2 oath summonses and a parking ticket to a vehicle that was blocking the entrance. We did one this past Saturday, but obviously because of the inclement weather, nobody was in the park, so we really didn't get any sort of enforcement. Which, to be honest with you, whether we do or not, it's not really our goal. Our goal is to, number one, educate these individuals to let them know that they're not allowed to utilize these mopeds, scooters, bikes in the park. And obviously, if they do not listen, once the education component of it is exhausted, then we do take up the enforcement that is actually being performed by Parks Department, not NYPD. So those are some of the things that we've done for the 28-day period. When it comes to the violence, our last 3 shootings, we've been able to get some closures. There was 2 arrests that we made on 2 out of the 3. And the last one, we have a probable cause I-card on the individual, but currently he's incarcerated. So we're waiting for the grand jury to convene. And once we get a true bill, then we'll be able to do a takeout order and charge him with that shooting that occurred on 158 and Amsterdam. Curtis,
we can't hear.
Sorry, over a year, and I'm still I don't know how to use Zoom. So thank you so much for the update, particularly pertaining to the fireworks, as we are now starting to hear them. It starts early and earlier each year, it seems. So I do see a few hands. I don't have any questions for you, but I see OC and Danielle with their hands up. So we'll go with OC first, followed by Danielle.
Okay, thank you. Question about the dirt bikes. So can any store whatsoever sells them on the street? Or do you have to be a licensed, just like a car dealership? Do you have to be a licensed dealership to sell those?
No, they could be sold, and they're legal to, I guess, to be the dirt bikes. They're not legal to be operated on the street, but they're legal to be possessed. And usually, what you see is the individuals, they'll purchase them. They don't insure them, they don't register them, and then they'll operate them on city streets. That's the illegal component of it. But even if we was to stop an individual, it's just a summonable offense. We could bring the bike in to determine true owner, but if they do have proper documentation, like we've seen in the past 28 days, where we confiscate the bike, the owner comes in, they have a receipt or a bill of sale, and we'll return back the bike to the individual. The only issue with those bikes is that they're not. You cannot legally operate them on a city street, but you could legally purchase them.
So any store, like a clothing store or whatever, can sell those bikes freely in New York City?
Well, I don't know of any clothing stores that does sell them. The majority of the stores that we have in the 3-3, usually they sell either mopeds or e-bikes. We really don't have a particular location in the confines of the 3-3 that sells the dirt bikes that I know of, at least.
I know of one location, but it's in the Bronx. So text it to you separately.
Okay.
All right, Danielle.
Thanks for joining as always. And I just want to acknowledge your great work around or just all of the work that you're putting into analyzing the 311 calls and the 911 calls to identify hotspots, and also the work you're doing around education, so as to not just issue summonses, but also to make sure that people are understanding, you know, what's okay behavior and what's not okay. So I just want to acknowledge that and commend that work. I personally live in the 3-4, but you had mentioned that you have identified hotspots around dirt bike usage and fireworks. But I was just wondering, in the 3-4, there's an issue with drag racing at night, and especially some of these cars with very loud mufflers or engines. I'm just wondering if you've identified hotspots around with that, or if that's even an issue in your area. I'm not sure, but I definitely wanted to also ask that to the 3-4.
I know normally we get the complaints on the main avenues, let's say Amsterdam, St. Nick, and Broadway. We have done several joint operations with DEP. So what we do is we actually have a DEP car along with my traffic safety cops. We've been setting up in the vicinity of like 172, sort of 165 and Broadway. They'll read how loud the muffler is or the exhaust is through the decibel reader. We'll conduct the car stop and they'll issue the summons. So for the past 28-day period, we've done 3 operations with DOT. It has been successful. It's been something that we really never done in the past, that type of joint operation. So initially we had a TAC meeting to see how we were going to coordinate it. And then we had 3 consecutive successful joint operations with DEP. So, you know, based on the complaints that we've got, and obviously we've been in communication and conferrals with, you know, the Parks Department if it's a park related issue, DEP if it's a noise related issue, not only in pertaining to like the mufflers and the loud vehicles. We've also coordinated operations with like noise stemming or complaints stemming from commercial establishment. So we did target a location on 172 in Broadway, Havana. I know there was a particular individual that complained to the borough president and came up in the district cabinet meeting. So far, I haven't really heard any issues. I personally went to the location. I noticed the speakers that were outside. I spoke to the owner. He removed them. And I also followed up by having an operation with DEP where they basically gave them a warning and then they targeted another location at 175 in St. Nick. So that's kind of like what we've been doing with the other agencies, just to be able to address and rectify some of the complaints that we've been getting in these meetings.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I've seen some police cars, what seemed to be strategically placed or posted in my neighborhood like in Inwood area. And so I thought maybe this was like an operation that's happening like in the 3-3 and the 3-4 to try to identify the hotspots. But just, I guess on a personal note, my issue with noise, one of the issues that I've had with noise, and like, I think something for us to think about on this board as we address noise is, you know, not criminalizing recreation and not, and making sure to educate like you've been doing. But I definitely think, you know, it is a public health issue when some of these things are happening at night and people aren't able to sleep. And so I think it is important that we, you know, try to figure out how to identify these issues and identify hotspots without just like criminalizing all sorts of behaviors. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you've done a great job at really educating and really coming up with other solutions for just compared to locations we've seen across the city. All right, so are there other, let's see, we have Deborah Barrett and Bernard. Deborah?
Sure, sorry. I just have a question. I live on Amsterdam Avenue, which is basically a thoroughfare, a corridor for drag racing. And not only that, I live across from a park, basketball courts, where people set up their party paraphernalia on a nightly basis with boom boxes that will go all night long into the wee hours of the morning. And in the summertime, it will go on through dawn. So I'm in the 34th, so I think that the officer is really speaking to the 33rd. But this drag racing may likely go from the 33rd to the 34th. I could be wrong about that. but we have been told in the 34th that the NYPD cannot pursue racing cars. They cannot pursue motorbikes or dirt bikes that are racing. But there's also nothing else that they can do. There are no speed bumps, soft speed bumps. There are no other ways that, as far as we're aware, that this issue is being addressed. Can anybody add to that?
Well, I think he addressed that earlier. He said there is confiscation. There's been over 30 of these bikes, these vehicles has been confiscated over the past 28-day period. So I think there is work being done. I mean, there's some things that are being done that we don't see being done, but I do think that they're doing something to address the issue. It's not just going unnoticed.
And what
we do have someone from the 34th, if you want to speak to that particularly there, or Deputy Inspector Bello can also add to what I said.
Yeah, I'll explain the policy, the NYPD policy in regards to chasing. I guess the issue is that based on the laws, right, even if we're able to apprehend someone, first of all, you got to observe them committing about over 3 traffic violations in order for us to be able to charge them with reckless driving, which is a misdemeanor. Even if we're able to apprehend them, it's a DATable offense, so he'll be out about 2 or 3 hours after we bring him in. As a matter of fact, there was an individual that we arrested a couple of days ago who was operating a dirt bike. We did charge him with a reckless driving, and he was out about 3 hours. The issue with us is that the majority of the time when we do try to stop them, they don't. And our concern is that there might be someone that might be seriously hurt if we do pursue, when I guess the penalty for that particular crime is not severe enough to kind of like justify someone getting seriously hurt. So I'll give you a prime example. There was a video that went viral a couple of days ago. One of my guys, we have some of our RMPs or our marked police vehicle are equipped with license plate readers. And sometimes when a car passes by, they'll be able to read if that particular plate is stolen. So they were able to get a hit from a stolen plate in New Jersey. They tried to stop it, and the person took off. On 155 in the Macomb Bridge, they actually were involved in a head-on collision with another vehicle that was heading into Manhattan. The person that was fleeing in that stolen vehicle took off on foot. We were able to apprehend them, but you had 5 individuals that were not seriously injured, thank God, but they were removed to the hospital. Long story short, the plate was stolen, but the car wasn't. The car actually belonged to that person, but the plate was stolen from New Jersey. So that's the reason why our policy is not to pursue. Thank God in this particular situation, there was nobody seriously hurt, but it could have had dire consequences, which honestly outweigh whatever penalty this individual will get if he is apprehended. So that's the reason why our policy is not to pursue. What we try to do is try to confiscate the dirt bikes if we see them stationary. If we do get information on a particular location when we could, execute a search warrant or some sort of observance or surveillance, then we'll do that, and we'll try to see if we could get them prior to them actually being in motion. So that's the reason why we do it. We don't want any innocent person to get seriously injured by us pursuing.
So just a quick follow-up to that, if that's okay.
Yes,
Sure.
it is.
So I just wonder, over the summer, since this particular organization will be closed over the summer, I wonder if there's any possibility of working with the 33rd and 34th to come up with various ways that the NYPD can address these issues. In other words, what the officer is saying now is that because of the possibility for injury, that they can't pursue. But what are other ways that we can address these issues together? And
I think most of it gotta be has to be legislative. Perhaps you cannot purchase dirt bikes or any of these bikes without insuring it or registering it, almost similar to like a vehicle. You can't really purchase a vehicle and take it off the dealership without having insurance or registration. Maybe if we're able to get that, it'll be easier for these guys to know that whenever they do involve in some reckless behavior, we'll be able to get the plate one way or another. And obviously they know if the plate comes back to them, we could prepare a report and then open up an investigation. But right now they're sold, no insurance, no registration. Even if you're able to put speed cameras, let's say, they're not gonna be able to capture anything because most of these motorists don't have a plate, or if they do have a plate, the plate comes back stolen, or they'll have a temporary plate that doesn't come back to anything. So I know some of the legislation that we have proposed to elected officials is to prevent gas stations on allowing these people to basically be able to gas up. But I know there's some concerns of possibly some of these employees being threatened or assaulted if they do go to gas up, and they're preventing them from providing those services. So obviously, it's a sensitive topic issue that most likely is going to be addressed by either confiscation, finding out what they're stashing them. The NYPD recently implemented a new program, a new policy where if we get any information regarding an illegal dirt bike, the individual that gives us that information, that provides it, gets $100. And I know in the 2-8, it was actually very fruitful. We got a particular location and we were able to confiscate 14 dirt bikes. So that's $1,400 to somebody that gave a Crime Stoppers tip.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So there is, do you want to share I guess there are a few more for the 3-3, but is there a precinct council meeting date for July and August set?
We do have one scheduled for June. I believe it's tentatively scheduled for the 24th. They're going to be in recess in July, August, and then we'll reconvene back in September.
Okay, great. Thank you. Bernard.
How are you doing, Inspector? So Monday was a sneak preview of what I'm worried about being a repeat performance of last year. It was loud and it didn't stop until they got tired. That's basically it. I think they got tired of partying and it was over.
What do you mean by they? Could you?
Well, the people who were partying outside on the street.
Got it.
The individuals that were partying outside on the streets, okay, and I'm worried about 4th of July, and I'm also worried about every weekend, because every weekend, and the problem is that the people are not in front of a residence. They're not in front of their residence. They're in front of a couple of businesses, and the businesses may or may not be involved in these parties, and but if they are, it's completely. I believe it's completely illegal, because they're not consumable businesses. They're like a beauty salon and a hair salon and a cigar shop. So, what can be done to finally stop these parties?
Well, this is something that's been talked about over and over and over and over again. There is an entire noise voice task force. I believe you are a part of it. They propose solutions. The precincts, from my observation, are doing all they can to educate the community members and to mitigate these sort of situations through conversation and education with community members, and not, like as Danielle mentioned, not overly criminalizing people for celebrating life or just wanting to be outside when it's hot in house. So I don't know what else you want to hear, what else you want to be done.
Okay, so the question is then, I pay rent in my apartment to be in my apartment. If I blast music in my apartment, my landlord's going to come throw me out of the apartment eventually, right? But these people are on the street, and they have no right to be on the street making noise. There's not a law. The law says that they cannot make noise on the street. Now, as far as criminalizing it, it's easy to avoid being criminalized by it. Don't blast music on the street.
Yeah.
If it's illegal, or change the law. Make it so that you can blast whatever you want to on the street. Why don't we just be honest about it then and change the law, and just everything goes?
Okay, well, so we are not a legislative body here. We are a community board. So if you want the laws changed, you should contact your state senator or your assembly person.
Well, I believe a lot of this comes from the community board. I mean, the policy comes from the community board.
We're not a policy group. We don't pass policy, Bernard. We are a community group. We're not legislative. We don't pass laws. So you can't blame noise on the community board, and you can't blame.
I'm not blaming noise on anybody.
Yes.
Other than the individuals that are making the noise.
Okay. Well, I'm saying that my point is, in part, I apologize for my tone, but if you want the laws changed, you should talk to people who make laws.
Curtis, can I jump in for a sec?
Yes, you can.
I also just wanted to add that Inspector Bello was just saying that he's analyzing 311 and 911 noise complaints. So it sounds like if you do make a call for a particular location, they will respond.
Oh,
Identify.
I am not criticizing what Inspector Bello is doing. I think that he's been trying to do his best
Yes.
within the parameters that are given to him.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm complaining about are the parameters.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have to let it take its course. I feel very confident in what has been going on in the operation that they've been running in the 3-3, and I do think that we've made a lot of progress. I think they have taken a very methodical approach to addressing the issue in a clear and concise way that is giving space to the people who are making noise and also those who are disturbed and listening to both sides. So I think they're doing a really good job at it, and I think it is a complex issue, Bernard. We all get agitated by noise, of course, but we just have to kind of allow it to continue to let the precincts do their job.
And I'll answer it. Obviously Monday is Memorial Day weekend. Friday, horrible day. Saturday, horrible day. The weather was just horrible, right? I have a steady 311 auto. Whenever they do get a 311 call, they respond and they handle and they do what they're supposed to do. Obviously, Bernard has my number. He contacts me whenever he does have an issue and I'm working. I'll go. Sometimes he'll complain about a double park car. When I go over there, it's a disabled vehicle. I have to kind of like be fair to people. If the music gets excessive, no problem. We'll try to educate. We'll tell them to turn it down. But when you have a weekend where the weather is horrible and then the only nice day is on Memorial Day, I'm not getting any violence. I'm not getting any other 311 or 911 call besides his. Sometimes I got to kind of like weigh what's happening in the community since I'm a byproduct of the community and then determine whether action is the appropriate way to go about it. So that's kind of like the way that I try to manage the 3-3. Not every time that I get a noise complaint, obviously, I have to take it on a case-by-case basis. There are chronic locations, there are problematic locations, but if there is a particular location where I'm only getting complaint from one particular individual and it's a holiday and it's not as egregious or excessive as I've seen, if I gotta take that if I gotta take the heat for that, then I'll take it. 99% of the time.
And it's a fair way of doing it. I think that holiday weekend, we have to expect there's going to be noise during holiday weekend. I walked home the other day, and the whole block was just crowded with people, barbecue grills everywhere. I even got a free hot dog, and I was grateful for that. So yes, it's annoying sometimes to have to go through crowds, but part of being in a community and part of like living with our neighbors is to find a way to cohabitate, right? It's noisy, and yes, it can be annoying at times, and I think there are levels of like there are concessions that have to be made, particularly on holiday weekends, and I think that yes, if it's happening on like every day of the week, then it's a bigger issue. But I literally have no I can't sit here and say that I am concerned that the people were playing music and barbecuing on Memorial Day, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Well, that's true, but I mean, if I had moved into a block and there was a club on the block, I guess I'd be an idiot for complaining about noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I moved onto the block. There's 2 hair salons and a cigar bar, a cigar store actually. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm complaining about noise. I mean,
Yeah.
It's because I would not have moved into a block that had a club on it.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have happened. So the point, and I totally understand what Inspector Bello was saying, and I appreciate the help he's been giving me. But I'm just saying that I'm worried about this summer.
Well, you have been getting a lot of help, Bernard. And
yes, I understand, but you
have a direct contact. You have a cell phone number.
Yeah,
in ways that is a privilege that a lot of people don't have.
So I'm telling you that I appreciate it all. I absolutely appreciate every last bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And but last year left me with like PTSD or something.
Yeah, I understand.
It's like literally.
We have to move on, but I do.
Okay,
we have to move on, Bernard. But I do suggest that if you have ideas or suggestions on laws that need to be changed, that you really do contact the people who are lawmakers, because it's not really the community board who's going to be able to push for legislative changes. We can't propose new laws. We can support laws that are out there, and we can encourage, board members to vote in support of legislation like we've done in the past, but we cannot propose laws to elected officials. That's not what we do as a body. So I think that is, if I know you have contacts with the local elected officials, I would encourage you to schedule time to meet with them also, to share some of your legislative concerns and things that you think should be changed on the book to make it easier for the enforcement folks to do their job. So we're going to go ahead with Cheryl Miller now, followed by Kelly, and then we're going to move on to the 3-4.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you for letting me speak. Inspector Bello, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. I know you don't have an easy job. I know it's little steps, little bit at a time, little bit at a time. I just wanted to say that I understand, last year was COVID. Okay, everything was closed. But, the numbers are getting better now. The clubs, the bars now are fully opened as of, I believe, this past weekend. Now everything there's no curfew. They don't have to close anymore at midnight. Now they could stay open until 2, 4 a.m., whatever their closing hours are. With that being said, yes, I'm not saying that people don't have a right to be outside, but this is also a residential area, and people have to be mindful that there are people working from home still that have to get up in the morning, children that have school, and people can't just be, blasting music till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. People do have a right to, it goes both ways, okay? And people have to respect that people are in apartments here and they want to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't think that that's unreasonable. People want to go to bed maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You have elderly people here. You have sick people here. You have veterans dealing with PTSD. So people do have to be, a little mindful of that. Nobody's saying, Curtis, they can't be outside, okay? But everything in moderation. Okay, and people have to be respectful. The pendulum goes both ways.
All right, totally.
So again, Inspector Bello, thank you very much. It has been somewhat more quiet. I am noticing a difference. I'm not hearing the dirt bikes as much. It's not really sounding like Mad Max out there like it has been. So I do see that there is progress being made, and I just want to thank you. I know the police don't get thanked enough. So I want to say thank you for what you're doing. And we do need the police. They're not perfect. They make mistakes, but we do need the police. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, Kelly, you're next.
Hi, yes, thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak. So like Deborah, I live across from Highbridge Park near West 190th. And that stretch from 181st up through Fort George Avenue has long been an area for cruising. And we get cars that are going, it sounds to me like around 140, 160 miles an hour sometimes. A lot of reckless driving, a lot of stunt driving. And so I've been speaking with Chris from Senator Jackson's office and some other people, and concerning a possible change in the layout of the roadway there, traffic calming measures, one-way streets, those sorts of options. Speed bumps are apparently out of the question because it's a bus line, and I'm told by DOT rather that they would not approve speed humps. And so we'd like some support from the committee, some suggestions as far as how we can go about making a change in the street layout and, go forward from there.
Yeah, so that would have to actually be done through the Transportation Committee. Have you gone there to your concerns? Debbie Navabian is the chair, and I believe they meet next week is their meeting. So I would suggest, if you want to, I can put my email in the chat box, and you can email me and I can give you the information for their Zoom meeting and how to reach out to her.
Okay, that's also CB 12, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the mailing list, so I think I can find that.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Can I just add, obviously, the Traffic and Transportation Committee has heard this before. This is the first time, but you can bring it up there. I was going to ask from the NYPD, Mr. Bello, I know in the past sometimes they put railings by 190th, so cars can't drive through there late at night in the summers. Is that something we're thinking about doing? Is that something, am I correct with that assumption?
That's
That's the 3-4.
That's the 3-4.
Yeah, it's the 31st. So
Oh, right. Okay.
Is there someone
I
on
was
the
told,
Yeah,
sorry, I was told
Lieutenant
at some
Taveras,
point barricades would go up, but they haven't yet.
3-4?
Yeah, 3-4, Lieutenant Taveras, 3-4. Good evening, everyone. So what Inspector Andrea did for this year, he assigned a car from Wednesday to Sunday, 6 to 2. And he identified the 3 main spots where we get the most noise complaints regarding drag racing, loud mufflers. And these 3 locations is 9th Avenue between 201 and 207. He assigned a car there. The other location is La Marina and behind George Washington High School. Those are the 3 locations. Last year, we were able to provide an extra car. So last year, what we did is that pretty much we closed both ends, 193 at St. Nicholas and 190 at Amsterdam. So the only people allowed to go by it was the bus. However, this year, since we are so short, we are only able to provide 1 car, trying to deter the drag racing. And it has worked somewhat. It has diminished a lot. I really don't know what days this is happening. Like I said, these officers, they are off Monday, Tuesdays. We try to cover it with the personnel we have in the precinct, but sometimes it gets a little tough. Thank you.
Well, I can't say that we've really noticed a difference, to be honest.
Oh.
Not yet.
Okay.
And where do you live again?
West 190th and Amsterdam.
Okay, great. So we're gonna continue moving our agenda forward. We have a few more updates. So Danielle, you want to comment about this particular question, or?
I mean, I can wait, I guess, until he finishes his update, but it was going to be about what you just mentioned about where the cars are strategic. Yeah, I can wait.
Okay, got it. And Layla, are you from the 3-4, or this question is about the 3-3? I would like to move forward with our agenda to have our presentation update from the 35th precinct.
I'm from the 34 precinct.
Okay.
I just wanted to say on my end it worked. Somehow the noise has been less and less.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that positive note. So we're going to go to the 34th precinct now and have our update for the month. Lieutenant Tavares.
Hi, good evening again, Lieutenant Tavares. So I could go and give you the rundown of the crime, but the main issue we've been having is obviously the noise. So I'll give you an update. Like I stated before, the way we're trying to handle it is trying to deter the violations from happening. So we assigned those 3 cars, like I explained to you before. One is at La Marina, the other one is at 9th Avenue, 201 to 207, and the other one is behind GW's high school. Also, we've been conducting checkpoints because we've been having an issue with these fake plates and illegal registered vehicles. Usually we do checkpoints to deter the motorcycles from running all over the city. And also we have been doing what Inspector Velo has been doing, operations with DEP for the noise complaints, for the loud mufflers. We go out, we pick a location where we think we'll be able to safely make a car stop without endangering the public. For the crime, I could give you
for the 28-day, we have robberies. We have 19 versus 13. That's a 46% increase. Felonious assault, 20 versus 15. That's a 33% increase. Burglaries, we have 5 versus 18, 72% decrease. Grand larcenies, we have 40 versus 31. That's a 29% increase. Grand larceny autos, we have 19 versus 15. That's a 26% increase. For the robberies, I could tell you we have a pattern. This is a citywide pattern where it's being hit in different precincts. It's mainly these perpetrators are targeting jewelry. They're going for the chain. They're going for the nice watch. It's a citywide. There's a big case going on. The investigation is ongoing, so I cannot give you much there. The felonious assault, I know you like the breakdown. I could give you that. So we have 19 this 28-day period. 8 of those were domestic violence. 3 of those were blunt object, unknown people, and 3 were shootings. The shooting location, I could give you that. One was on 528, 618 Academy Street. The other location was 644 West 204 Street. And the other location was 29 Vermilion. Again, there is a lot of leads on these cases. That's why I can disclose there is videos, and the squad is working on closing those cases. If you guys have any questions, I'm here. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
I keep doing that same thing over and over again. Oh gosh. All right. So I think we have a few questions. Danielle had a question first. OC followed by Kelly. I think your question was already addressed because you lower your hand, please. So Danielle and OC.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Is it Tavares or how do you say
Taveras.
Taveras. Thank you, Lieutenant Taveras, for joining us. Quick question, or a couple questions. You mentioned 6 to 2. Is that 6 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Yes. If you want to know, it's 5:25 p.m. to 02 a.m.
Okay, and then what was my other question? I saw the vehicle on 250. I saw a vehicle on 215 and 10th. Is that also part of this operation, or is that something separate?
250 and 10? No, that's not one of our hotspots.
Okay.
That's not. I don't know what the car was doing there. I don't know what day it was, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Also, I've noticed at night, like between like 11 and like 1 a.m., there seems to be racing near 215 and Broadway, and maybe also like on Seaman. I'm just wondering if there's anything that's being done in those particular spots, or if those have been identified as hotspots.
So what we try to do, yeah. So
no, I was just gonna say, and it also seems like there's I've noticed visually that there seems to be running red lights on that areas in the 215 and Broadway area as well.
Like when can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
So when we do the breakdown and we do the hypnosis, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to try to make a car stop on those streets, because from our experience, they will try to run. Just because they don't do anything else illegal, just driving fast, and you try to stop them, just because of that minor violation, they will try to run away. That will cause a more danger to the public than anything else. So we try not to engage them in those areas. And like I said, what we're trying to do is deter the activity. So what they've been doing is that now they go to these isolated blocks where there is not much going on, and they open up the car, they drive fast through there. But we do monitor the 311, and actually the NCOs, they know about this. So what the NCOs have been tasked with is to patrol the area. So if they see our car, maybe that will deter them going to those areas. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. And then the last question I have, super quick, I was just wondering if you have any updates on, since the city's now having mental health professionals respond to certain calls, I'm just wondering if you have any updates on that program?
No, I do not. As far as I know, we are not engaged with any other agency responding to any jobs as of today. Okay, that tomorrow we start doing it, that's fine. I welcome it. As of today, we are not doing any joint operations with any other agencies.
Got it. Thank you. OC.
Yeah, I have a question about the specific incident that happened on May 20 on Post and 204. Do you have any resolution for that incident that happened at 6 a.m.?
6 a.m. Could you be more specific?
An individual was hit and had to go up to the hospital. It wasn't a car accident. It was somebody that walked behind that individual. I just happened to know the individual, and it just hit that person and took the person's bag and left.
So it was a robbery. I do not have anything specific regarding that incident. No, I do not. I could look it up though, and maybe I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, got it.
Do you have the date again?
May 20th at around 6 a.m.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 3 more questions remaining. Eileen, followed by Kelta, and followed by Nancy Preston.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that the 34th Precinct is aware of the area behind George Washington High School, but that area is connected to Fort George Avenue and to Fort George Hill. And so it needs to be looked at as coming up from Nagel Avenue, up the hill, turning around onto Fort George Avenue, and then going to Amsterdam. It is a constant stream. Then it comes back up. It returns by way of coming up St. Nicholas Avenue, down Fairview. It's a loop, and this loop goes on for hours and hours and hours. It's motorbikes, it's cars with loud music, it's souped up cars. It is a river, a constant, and I really draw your attention to that.
Yes, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. We have identified that location, especially from Nagel up the hill, that we are looking at that location and seeing the logistics. That is a potential location for our next operation with DEP. Obviously, that's going to be an operation that's going to take 2-3 hours. It's not going to be something that's going to be all day, but we are looking to address as much as we can every complaint. So we're looking into it. We are aware of it.
I'm very grateful to hear that, and to also to recognize that the area under at Dykeman and Nagel, it is a channel there. It's a convenient place to stop it. And there was last summer, there were times when you stopped traffic coming up the hill, and you also stopped it as it turned around Fort George. So I just recommend that this be given high attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the information. I hope it's helpful to the precinct. Kelta.
Thank you. Good pronunciation. Perfect. I understand that with the danger of with the danger of high-speed chases through the city on these dirt bikes, etc., is impossible. And I get that. But what I don't understand is, and I had once lived on for many years Central Park West, where there's huge amounts of them going back and forth, or gangs of them, like there could be 20 of them, and they go through the red lights. People are crossing the street. It's really dangerous. nothing is ever done. And I recently saw them, it was about a week ago, on right across from Frank's. I'm kind of new to the area. Is at 185th or 183rd. I think it's 185th. But anyway, right there, doing wheelies and going back and forth because it's really just one block. And why can't we know where they're going. It's a one-way street, or they're going uptown or downtown. Why can't we have blockades and catch them, confiscate the vehicles, be done with it? I get we can't have car chases in the city. I agree with you. I totally understand that. But why can't we do blockades? Why can't we say, oh my God, they're heading up north from whatever street, and just put blockades down there or up there?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
It sounds more simple than what it actually is. Also, another thing that NYPD, not that it doesn't do it, but it's really careful on doing is roadblocks. So me placing a car to block another vehicle who's going at a high rate of speed, it has to be looked at very careful. We don't just do it for a traffic violation. It has to be a major crime. That's
But
another
this isn't a
policy.
traffic violation. To me, this is,
It's
I
reckless
once saw them.
driving. It's a misdemeanor. It's reckless driving. And like Inspector Bello stated before, this gentleman is going to be out 2 hours later. 2 hours later, 3 hours later, he's going to be out with a DAT. And
But it's not
we
a
are-
misdemeanor because
Yes, it-
they can kill
Okay,
somebody.
we can't have the back and forth at the committee. Your comment is received. The lieutenant has commented, and we have to move on. Nancy Preston, Nancy is next.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. And thank you. And so I have two questions. The first is piggybacking on what Danielle asked regarding Seaman Avenue and kind of this loop that happens with the traffic and the racing and the reckless driving and the motorcycles. I received on the 22nd, which was a Saturday, in the afternoon, the late afternoon, from a number of residents, family members with their children that were walking along Broadway and then went to Seaman at Academy and then went to Payson to try to avoid what was happening because it was dangerous. The driving that was going on in the street, they were scared for their children. And anywhere they went, it just got worse. There were motorcycles going up and down the sidewalks along Payson. Cars were, doing exhibitionist driving and going through lights and speeding. One of our neighbors said that he has 2 dogs. And when he walks his dogs up to Seaman and to the parks, he no longer crosses on the crosswalks because they're too dangerous. That he crosses in the middle of the street because he has more of a view and there isn't as much happening because the stuff is happening in the crosswalks. And so, I'm wondering if there can be some highlight. It's, this is a known area, and could there be some highlight in watching this area to deter what's going on?
Good evening again. Actually, my NCO have been tasked with patrolling that area, especially Inwood Park. They know that. However, we need to understand that we're trying to do a lot. They know that they're supposed to go there every day. They're going to put themselves out. Whatever tour they're doing for that day, they're going to put themselves out at whatever time they're working. But there is other issues in the community that we try to address. It's not just the noise. It's the crimes. It's the 311 calls, that the main ones that they have to address. They have to continue going to these other locations. So all I'm saying is bear with me. We are trying. We hear you. And we do check. And we are familiar with your conditions. And we are trying. That's what I want you to understand.
Thank you.
And thank you. And just to follow up on, the incident where the elderly gentleman was attacked by the bikes over on Indian Road,
certainly this is like the fear of, many elderly people in the neighborhood that, walk in the parks, falling and getting hit can be really serious and change someone's life when you're older, because you never really heal from broken bones like that. And just wondering if there's, any follow-up on what's happened there.
Well, right now, I know they have some leads. There was some video recovered, and that's why I can disclose. It's an active investigation. They have not made an arrest yet, but they're working on it. Obviously, a lot of what's happening now is that these guys have masks, they have helmets, or they have no helmet. They just have some do-rag or whatever on their heads. So it's hard to identify them. So we got to follow through the bike, trying to locate what bike it was, their clothing, and it's a little bit more difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging that there is a problem and actively working to find solutions. So we have one additional comment. I believe Keltha, is that the same hand from earlier, Keltha?
Yeah, it's the same hand.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, you're next, and I believe you are the final comment for the evening. Question?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So first, thank you very much, Officer, for all your work in our district. I know it's a real challenge. I want to mention something that you might be aware of. It was common knowledge in our neighborhood at the corner of 204 and Broadway, those park benches in front of Dyckman House Museum, that in the past that had been an area of drug dealing. It seems like that has cleaned up, and now we have residents enjoying the benches, a lot of them elderly, which is wonderful. However, and this is just an observation, I could be off base about this. When you continue to cross Broadway, you walk down 204 towards the post office, which I believe is Vermillia, is Cross Street, now on the north side of the street. So you're on 204 between Broadway and Vermillia. There are a bunch of guys hanging out. Now, they could just be guys hanging out. On the other hand, there seems to be a lot of cell phone communication. There seems to be a lot of walking back and forth between cars. So I don't know if drugs are being dealt there. Again, not my area of expertise, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you want to respond to that, or you just want to?
Yes. Sure. We know what's going on. We know what the situation. That activity has been forwarded to the proper investigative unit. They know about it. There is only so much they can do about it, but they know about it. I know what you're talking about. It's by the city bikes right there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, so that concludes our comments for the precincts for this evening. Obviously, there's a lot of continual issues with motorbikes and noise in the community, as we've seen in previous years. But I do feel reassured that our precincts are doing the best they can to address these issues, and I feel that they've been sincere with how they're responding and answering your questions this evening. The community board is going to continue to be a place that we provide space for you all to address the concerns and also to advocate on the community's behalf moving forward if there are things that need to be addressed and changed at a more institutional level. So with that being said, we have 2 months away from each other, and you can always get in contact with the office or myself or anyone on our committee by email. And you can share your concerns directly to the precincts as well. They have made themselves extremely accessible to the community, so you can continue to reach out to the 33rd, the 33, and the 34. If you have concerns throughout the summer. If you have a challenge getting in contact with them, you can reach out to me directly and I can help you find direct contact. My email address is cdyong23@gmail.com. I always regret doing that publicly because these are live stream and this is a live meeting, but hey, I'm going to do it again. Because we are meeting, we're no longer meeting in the July and August. I'm going to give my number, my email address to the world, and you can email me and I can forward that to our guys from the precincts. But my email address, once again, is CD, as in compact disc, YOUNG23@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, any concerns, Bernard, you have my phone number. We're overdue for a coffee. We scream at each other sometime, but it's all neighborly love. We're going to get together for a coffee over the summer. But thank you all. I think that's it. Are there any final comments? It's crazy, right? It's fun. It's summer, but this is we're going to work through it.
Yes, I actually have a question. Is there any way we can put, I don't see a chat where we can put our email addresses in if others want to contact?
Yeah, so I don't know how that works because the Zoom features are managed through the office. There is a Q&A box.
Yeah, I see that.
There are other groups out there that are formed that are working together. There's the WAHA, what was it, the Noise Task Force. I'm not sure what that email address is, but that's another venue for folks to join and be a part of a community and share concerns. I don't know their email address, but they, Nancy, do you have that?
Yeah, that's Task Force on Noise at Gmail.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's another group. I know there are some new members, there are some new attendees who may not be aware that there is an existing external noise task force, and they have done an excellent job coming up with solutions that could be turned into laws. They're not all punitive. They did a great analysis, so I think it is a great resource for those who may be seeking venues to share some additional concerns throughout the summer months when we're in recess. Danielle.
Do you have any updates from the DA's office?
Oh, yes, the DA office emailed me today saying that they were not able to attend because of a personal matter and that they were going to send me an update by email that I'll share to the committee for the minutes to be reflected in the minutes for our next.
And I hope everybody knows that the Manhattan DA is up for election.
Yep. So we'll have a brand new DA. Yeah, yes. And the current DA is not running for re-election, so it's going to be a completely new person. So.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm really new to the area. What is your title? Because I have your name down, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah. My name is Curtis Young.
Yes, I got that.
I'm the chairman of the Public Safety Committee for Manhattan Community Board 12.
Wow. Okay. You're the chairman for the Safety Committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this is the last meeting of the year. So we are by according to the city charter, we're in session September through June. And we can, if the committee feels so compelled to meet over the summer, we can. We did last summer because there was so much going on. There were so many concerns over noise. I am not going to be available, but if anyone wants to meet next month, you can certainly get together. But I'm taking some time for myself this summer, which it's been a very active year, but we really appreciate it.
And I'll just add that so there's the board at large, and then there are these smaller committees that address different issues. So we are public safety, but then there's also transportation, park, and you can find all of the meeting dates and times on the calendar on the website. So there's the committee meetings, and then there's the general board meeting, which also happens once a month.
And that is Danielle, who is the assistant chairperson of the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, because I have her name too. Thank you.
Okay, got it. All right, so you can go to our website. You can find information there, and you can, if you want to get caught up on what's happening in the community, all of our meeting minutes for the past year are also on the website, as well as you can now follow CB12 on YouTube and watch the videos for the past year as well. Since you're new to the community, you may want to get up to date on all the cool happenings around town. So.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So thank you all.
Curtis?
Yes.
Curtis, before everybody signs off, I just want to say thank you. Huge shout out to you, everybody on the board. So appreciate the time that you devote to this, the seriousness that it's so easy how issues can become divisive, and you don't let that happen. I just so much admiration and huge shout out to each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. And I should do the same to my committee. It's been a very eventful year with a lot of, starting last summer with all the protests and all the civil unrest. We went through a lot of COVID, and we worked together, and I think we had a very inclusive environment. We don't always agree on things, but we always kept it diplomatic and professional, and we gave space to people to voice their concerns. I am really proud of this committee and proud of the work we've done this year. I'm looking forward to meeting in person in September. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
And to reiterate what Lynn said, thank you so much, Curtis, and all of the members of the committee. And, you know, you set the tone when you make everybody that comes to the meeting a panelist. That is a huge message because it tells every member that takes the time to come that you have a voice and you're going to be heard.
Yep.
And, you know, every committee should do that. But thank you so much, all of you.
I just want to echo Curtis. Sorry, I keep jumping in, but I echo what you just said, that we talk all the time about how important it is, because public safety can be very tricky and very divisive, as someone just said.
Yes.
And I think we talk all the time how it's so important about, you know, making sure that everybody feels heard, you know, making sure that we address real issues, for example, noise, without criminalizing behaviors, criminalizing, you know, recreation, because we don't want to just, you know, sick police officers on people, especially when, you know, they're outside in parks trying to have fun. We understand that, you know, some of these behaviors can be problematic for folks, but we don't want to just sick police officers. We want to find solutions, and we want to do things like educate, like Captain Bellow said. And so I think, you know, the board, the committee and the board, I think, does, you know, a good job, or aims to try to incorporate everybody's views and find solutions that work well for the most folks. I don't know.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, no, so I think that's it. Gabriela, any final words from the committee? Elsie?
You read my mind. I said, I don't want to be like the last one, but yes, I'm the last one, hopefully. Let me tell you, I can agree more with what everybody has said. And I am very, very honored and proud to be part of this committee, and especially under your leadership, Curtis. You are definitely a special human being in all the extent of the meaning of the word. I am very proud to be part of this committee, and with all these wonderful people, you know, not only in the committee, but in the board as a whole. You know, as all families, we might not agree on everything. We might disagree in some things, but the main purpose is, you know, the well-being of our community. And I think that's something common in all of us. So I'm very honored to be part of this committee, and the wonderful community activists like Nancy, Eileen, and everybody else.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you all. All right, I guess that's it. We'll meet each other again in person, fingers crossed, in September for our next meeting. Have a great summer, and feel free to reach out if there are any issues that come up. Bye.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care.